I told y'all. Bad Mike told you time and time again.
Yo, what's going on, people? Your boy coming at you guys with more NFL news around the league. I think you guys are going to enjoy this. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Tell your friend to come chat NFL news, rumors. What's your boy, Mad Mike, man? You can start throwing your questions in there right now as we get to a little bit of news. Won't be long, but I think I'll come on and answer a few things if you guys have that something that you want your boy to speak on. Been an interesting morning. Interesting start to the day. Excuse me. Come on, dang it, thing. Yeah, we got quite a few things that keep going on real quick. William Johnson, what's going on? Drip, Jake, how you doing? I like what's going on with the Atlanta Falcons, man. Been some interesting things happening today. All right, so yeah, this is coming from Jordan Schultz. Get this one out. Well, let me start with this one. All right, so the first one, the Falcons brought in another white boy. They brought in another white quarterback, y'all. Can y'all believe that? How dare they bring in another white boy? We want all black. No, we don't. So the Falcons have brought in Trevor Siemian. Okay, Trevor Siemian has been signed by the Atlanta Falcons to be the quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. So far we have Tua Tagovailoa. Tua Tagovailoa. He has pretty much stated that he likes what he's going. That what has the Falcons at this point, as far as those guys being competing for that starting job, he's here for all that action. All right, so you got Jordan Trevor Siemian, veteran quarterback for quite some time in the league. I think he's been in the league about 7 years, I would say. So he's the quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. Also, I think that's pretty good. Looking at a few news here, like I said, I'm just going throughout social media right now. So y'all bear with your boy again. You can throw them questions in there real quick if you have them there also. But Trevor Siemian is the one that was signed. And we have the Falcons are signing Bijan Robinson. So I'm trying to bring up his numbers real quick so kind of give you guys an idea of what he's going to be looking, or what you're going to be getting with him. I like this. Actually, this is pretty good. So he's been in the league since 2022. Okay, you got 2022. He rushed for 797 yards with the Commanders, 733 yards and 23 with the Commanders, 799 and 8 touchdowns in 2024. With the Commanders, and last year was split time, obviously, with CMC. 92 attempts for 400 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think this is a pretty good deal, and it's a valuable asset for the Atlanta Falcons, who's going to be, I think this makes this Atlanta Falcons team one hell. I think this is one hell of a signing for the Atlanta Falcons, and Josh Gillum, 6 man, what's going on? John, how you doing? Keyshawn, what's going on, brother? Southside, what's going on? But I think this makes this Atlanta Falcons team very valuable, to be honest. I like Juju, what's going on, man? I think this really makes this Atlanta Falcons, and again, no disrespect to your boy Tyler Algier, but he's a physical back that can do a multitude of things himself. Almost the exact same type of running back. Okay, them Robinson boys. Okay, we got Bijan and Brian Robinson. That's kind of interesting in its own right. So I love this duo. This guy's he's a legit running back. He can put up some big time numbers. So I like I said, no disrespect, no disregard for what Tyler Algier has been able to do for this team, but the fact that you put up Bijan and Brian Robinson in the backfield at the same time, woo! Hallelujah, Jesus! I like this. Strapped up. What's going on, Devon? What's going on? I think this is a good. You said we got Sonic and Knuckles in there. That's a nice little duo. Give me two for Robinson over Tyler, getting $7 million every time. All right. Y'all can go ahead and throw y'all thoughts on that as far as Brian Robinson being signed by the Atlanta Falcons. Jude says Brian Robinson is cut from the same cloth as Tyler. He's a physical back. And like I said, I like this. Brian Robinson goes about, like I say, it's 20. Oh, wow. So 27 years old, obviously from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, aka Mr. Alabama. So he's 6'1", 225. So he's a bigger back than Tyler Algier. I mean, and again, he's from Alabama. I bet you guys probably don't know where he was. He went to school. He went to Alabama. So he's an Alabama graduate, born and bred in Alabama. So he's another one of those signings, guys. Another one of those signings that are, guess what? From the Georgia, Alabama, southern region, all the way from we got all the way from South Carolina to Florida. Like all these guys that the Atlanta Falcons are signing, most of these guys are from this area. So I absolutely love the fact that the Atlanta Falcons are at the very least trying to bring guys that are from this area. They're trying to bring guys from this area to play with this Atlanta Falcons. So I love this deal for Brian Robinson, physical running back. And, you know, if you can play in the Kyle Shanahan offense, you can play with these guys. So you got Bijan Robinson, both of those. Brian Robinson, you got like 6'1", 6'1", big physical back. And then you got Bijan Robinson, who's another guy who's about 5'11", 220, 215, somewhere in there. So he's a big guy. But, yeah, Brian, as you says, if you need one yard. If you need 1 yard, Brian is going to get it. So I really love this signing for the Atlanta Falcons. We'll see about everything else, but give me all that country. Give me the country boy, cornbread fed Southern players. I like this deal for the Atlanta Falcons, and yeah, so you got another one from Jay Glazer. You have the Glazer family. Lavonte David has called it a career. 14 years in the NFL, so he is retiring. Got some other stuff going on. He was a third-round pick. Brian Robinson was for the Commanders in 2022. Career best was 700, almost 800 yards rushing. Yeah, like I said, Lavonte David called it a career. Woo-hoo. Oh, yeah. A lot of those guys. It's got a lot of Lavonte David news right now. I can't damn. Like, Jesus Christ, was he really that great of a linebacker? I ain't got nothing but Lavonte David stuff and trying to find it. Where is it go? Okay, dokie. Okay, so Maria Martin, this is what I was looking for. Maria Martin on Mr. Tua Tagovailoa. All right, so this is from you were talking to Tommy, getting some time to talk to Tommy Reese, Kevin Stefanski, that offense. He said they shared some things where it won't be as adamant about the way we would motion in Miami and use other speeds in that sense. They're going to be a reason in everything that we do to a Tagovailoa on the Atlanta Falcons offense. Okay, so we got full expansion from that. Yeah, we don't want to get too much in depth with things that were going on, more so in terms of players and coaches that than in it that what the hell? Okay, all right. Let me kind of get this up. It's kind of written weirdly. But they don't want to get too caught up in the depth and with things that were going on, more so the terms of players to coaches than it was to players. But it was unique in a sense. It was unique in on being vocal last year. Okay, it makes more sense now. So he's just talking about Tua Tagovailoa and what was going on with the players and the coaches, and whether or not it was the player, it was the coaches or the players. So he just said it was unique, and that's cold for bullshit if you ask me. Tua Tagovailoa on two lefties on the same team. I think that's very unique in a sense. It makes it a lot easier on the receivers in terms of rotation on the ball. When you're throwing lefty and catching righty, it is different. Now receivers would tell, now the receivers will tell you because they're professionals, it has no effect on them, but I think that's bullshit. All right, so you got some Tua Tagovailoa for the most part, man. I think he's pretty good in regards to where he is with the Atlanta Falcons. He had this to say too about breaking down on his new team. Is that the defense is solid, the offense. You got to go. You got a good offensive line. You got Kyle Pitts. You got Bijan Robinson. You got Drake London. I'm excited to be able to use those weapons and OTAs. It said this about Kyle Pitts. You've got a yak, and I'm talking about yards at the catch, and Kyle Pitts. You can throw it to in the vicinity of Drake London, and Drake's going to catch it. You've got the back like Bijan Robinson. I think it could be really dangerous here with the Atlanta Falcons. So obviously, Tua Tagovailoa, he's really excited about the Atlanta Falcons and where they are at the moment. And like I said, man, this is going to be an interesting all season for the Atlanta Falcons. But right now, at this current time and this point in time, it's pretty good. What's going on? How you doing, sir? And like I said, man, y'all can start throwing those questions in there. Didn't plan on going too long. We got the heavy hitters tonight at 9 o'clock. So you might want to head over to the Heavy Hitters live channel. We're going to be doing having an interview and talking about some prospects and whatnot with some Detroit and Michigan people here. Yeah, we said Michigan over there, over here. Going to be real interesting. I like what's going on. What's going on, Ghost Peppers? What's happening? How you doing, sir? D Sloan, what's going on, Pimpin? How you doing, brother? The law offices at Robinson and Robinson. It says, call me crazy, but I think it's going to be a 2-team race between the Falcons and the Saints for the NFC South. I mean, look, we got to see. Like, we got to see, because the thing is with the Atlanta Falcons, we still got to figure out, What's the quarterback position? I think we'll be fine with Tua. I think we'll be fine with Mike, but we gotta take it slow. Got to take it slow. But thank you, D. Sloan, for becoming a member of the Mad Mike membership. We're gonna be putting out some other videos. I got a quarterback breakdown coming up real soon. I heard somebody say something about Christian Wilkins. Don't know. I think the Falcons have a lot of defensive linemen, especially defensive tackles. But we'll see as far as that can go. It really just depends on where the Atlanta Falcons go in the draft and whether or not they'll bring in a guy like Christian Wilkins. If they're looking to add another edge, then I could see them possibly signing so let me say this. It goes Peppers. This right here could be something really interesting. But I'm gonna be real with it. So I think this statement right here, Ghost Peppers, he said the Bijan Robinson is expected to sign a long-term extension at some point this offseason. I think you have to do this first. I'm paying Bijan Robinson before I'm paying Drake London. I don't think you could. I think it's an insult to Bijan Robinson and his offense to pay anybody before you pay him. That means you pay him before you play the quarterback. You pay him before you play the defensive guys. You make sure you lock up Bijan Robinson, and you do that shit right now. Make no mistake about it. So, according to this, Adam Schefter said Bijan is expected to sign a long-term extension at some point this offseason, and I think this is the absolute. I think this is the way to go. I love what Drake does for us, but I'm not signing anybody before I sign Bijan Robinson. Lock him up. Don't play no motherfucking games because, in my opinion, he's the best running back in the NFL. And right now, with his last year, you got to make sure that you lock him up. And like I said, you lock him up before you lock Drake. You lock him up before you lock up Kyle Pitts or whoever. Lock Bijan Robinson up. So I definitely enjoy that. Young Sizzle, how you doing? Joe Bastard, how you doing? Maurice Martin, how you doing? Engine, what's going on? How you doing, bro? Pat Norris, what's going on? There's a question here with drafting Kobe Young in the later rounds. Help out. I mean, as long as we don't have Mr. David Seals on the roster, anything would be better than him. So Kobe Young with the Atlanta Falcons. Actually, Coach and Keyshawn was talking about that not too long ago. I know Coach for sure we're talking about Kobe Young. We got a draft group, and we were talking about that. So I wouldn't be surprised. Coach really believes that he'll be able to fit well with the Atlanta Falcons wide receiving core. And I think he'll be pretty damn good too. I think Bijan is going to get his contract first on what was reported today. Like I said, I wholeheartedly agree. This is why you want to have guys like Matt Ryan on your team, because you don't want to cause any type of confusion. You don't want to mix things up. Bijan is our guy, okay? Make no mistake about it. Bijan is our guy, and to sign anybody, in my opinion, I think he's the best offensive weapon in the league. Okay. Now, there'll be some people that say, well, what about Lamar Jackson? Well, Lamar Jackson is healthy. I think he's probably the best weapon in the NFL, but Bijan Robinson is definitely the best running back in the NFL. I just maybe it's biased, but I just think Bijan Robinson, where he can catch the ball out of the backfield, he can block, like you can ask him to pass protect. He can do all that. Bijan is just a damn weapon. Okay, he's a weapon, and he's only getting better. So I like that. I like the move for the Atlanta Falcons. They are thinking about, and I think right now with what that and see, this is why I don't like wide receivers getting. I don't like wide receivers getting 40 something $million like your boy JSN just got. I don't like it because it forces other teams to kind of, let's be honest, it forces other teams to kind of reconstruct things, because now the Atlanta Falcons got to make sure that they lock up Bijan Robinson before the money gets even crazier. So, like I said, with Saquon D, what's going on? How you doing, brother? With Saquon making $20 million, and you better lock him in before Gibbs gets his. And I think that's the wise thing that the Atlanta Falcons. That's the best thing that the Atlanta Falcons can do at this point is lock up Bijan Robinson first. Drake London, if the money doesn't fit well, it doesn't make sense. I say trade Drake London real quick and real soon, but you lock up Bijan Robinson now, okay? You better make sure lock his ass up now. And I'm not saying that Drake is not going to get his money, but I again, I'm locking up Bijan Robinson before I'm locking up anybody on that team. As for Kyle, Drake, Chris Lindstrom, I'm locking Bijan ass up right now, right freaking now. But again, the Atlanta Falcons have done pretty good in the all season, in my opinion. But the Bijan Robinson and Brian Robinson deal, I think it's probably one of the better deals in the league right now. Better signings, I mean. I like to sign a guy like Brian Robinson who can put up a 100-yard game and run behind this particular offense. And it's just my opinion. I believe that the Atlanta Falcons have a better offense than the 49ers, and he's going to be running behind that offense. I wholeheartedly agree with this. I think it's going to be a hell of a running game for the Atlanta Falcons. And maybe not the Atlanta Falcons, probably not going to sign a guy like Nick Chubb now that you got a Brian Robinson. I love this deal. JSN deal added a ton of uncertainties to Drake's deal. 28 to 30 million would have got it done about a year ago. But who knows now? And I think this is probably one of the reasons everybody in the league pretty much saw that this would probably happen in regards to JSN and his contract. I don't necessarily agree with it, but that's just me. I could be completely wrong on this, but I do, in fact, think that Jackson, he definitely deserves his money. But I'm not sure if I'm ready. I'm not paying Drake London that money. I'm just gonna be real. I'm building my defense. I'm building my defensive line. I'm building my offensive line, and try to figure out which one of these guys are going to be my quarterback for, at the very least, the next 2 to 3 years, and Tua Tagovailoa and Michael Penix. That's what I'm focused on. I'm not giving a wide receiver, if he doesn't want to be patient, if he doesn't want to play along with this Atlanta Falcons team, I'm not giving Drake that. It's just me. I'm trading him for a few picks. If the Falcons can get something this year and the team wants his services, and the Atlanta Falcons could quite possibly find some, I'm trading Drake ASAP, because I believe that we, at some point in time, don't know what's going to happen with James Pierce Jr. And if that doesn't go well, and he is for whatever reason gone, the Falcons have to plan on replacing him. So the Falcons in a very unique situation. But like I said, I'm not paying no damn wide receiver if I ain't got my quarterback. I hear you, Jew, but I'm not paying. I am never paying my run. I have never, ever playing. I'm paying my wide receiver before I'm paying a quarterback. Until I find out who my quarterback is, I'm never paying a wide receiver. It just doesn't make sense for me. Just doesn't make sense. Now, like I said, it really just depends on what goes on there. But like I said, that's just my philosophy. I don't believe in paying a wide receiver before you really know who your quarterback is. I think it's dangerous. Uh, but we'll see. I think you can. I think you can replace numbers. I don't know about players, but you can replace numbers. But we'll see. We'll see. And I already talked about this. Uh, Jesse Bates, Sidney Brown. Like, let's not be goofy and say Sidney Brown is here to replace Jesse Bates. I think the thing is with Jesse Bates, with all these contracts. Um, Now I will say this. I will say this, Jew. If the Falcons end up trading Jesse Bates, or they can't come to grips with a new contract with him that's going to pay him significantly less money, or help the Atlanta Falcons long term, the Falcons end up trading him. Maybe you can pick up a couple of new picks for Jesse Bates, and then allow a guy like Xavier Watts be that guy in Atlanta. I could see the Falcons signing Drake London long term by using Jesse Bates' money. I think that's something that you could possibly do. So what I'm essentially saying here is trade Jesse Bates, give Drake London his money, and then at some point in time, you got to figure out what's going to happen with James Pierce Jr. and then draft an edge coming out, because we don't know exactly what Jalen Walker is going to be. If he's going to be an elite edge rusher, I think he can be that, but the Falcons are going to move him around. Azeez Ojulari, maybe he can give us 10 sacks. And now we can replace those numbers. I believe in replacing numbers, whether it's one guy, two guy. I believe you can replace Drake's numbers. I believe you can replace James Pierce's numbers. But replacing players, that's a whole nother thing. But I think if the Atlanta Falcons want to keep Drake, I think someone like a Jesse Bates, it's going to be hard for him to get another mega contract, especially with Xavier Watts being that dude. And I think Xavier Watts going to be special. I think he is special. So I don't know about that. I don't know about resigning. I don't know about giving Jesse Bates an extension if you want to keep your star players and your star offensive guys together. I don't think so. I wouldn't do it. And Drew says he can see Jesse Bates leaving. I believe so. I believe so as well. Like I said, when you got a player like Watts, it makes it that much easier. It makes it that much easier. Good God Almighty. I do like that. I don't think Obrecht wants to let go. I mean, look, it ain't up to Obrecht. Not up to Obrecht. He's not the general manager. He's not the president of the football operation. It's come down to the identity of the team, what the Atlanta Falcons want to be known for. Now, do you believe that Jeff Ulbrich? Do I believe that Jeff Ulbrich is going to disrespect or doesn't want him? Of course, he's going to want a Jesse Bates. Everybody want a Jesse Bates, but we want Drake too. So if the Atlanta Falcons were forced to do one thing, keep Jesse Bates or keep Drake, I think personally the Falcons are going to choose Drake London over Jesse Bates. That's just my thing, because again, you don't have another Drake on the offensive side of the ball. But it's quite possible, in my humble opinion, that you have another Jesse Bates and Xavier Watts. And if you were smart, you would trade Bates for a pick, possibly bring in another safety, draft him, and play in that position. But I don't think you can keep both of them for the money. pay Drake than somebody we can consider a key player has to go. Ain't gonna be financially sustainable. And that's the thing. Everybody think you can just keep all these players. Somebody gotta go, y'all. Like I said, it may not be the one that everybody keep pointing at Kyle Pitts, but Kyle Pitts ain't making that much money, and he can put up numbers. He can give you 100 yards in a game. And he's only gonna cost you 15 to 18 million, under 20 million. So everybody can keep pointing the finger at Kyle Pitts all you want to, but Drake gonna cost you about 30. Like, and it's just my opinion, man. It's like you can replace numbers, but like these wide receivers getting more and more expensive, yo. Yeah, I believe so, John. I think he says I think Bates would stay around if he thinks there will be a vast improvement. And I believe that. I believe that. I wholeheartedly believe that. And I think again we go back to the fact of the matter is, do these players believe in what the Atlanta Falcons are doing right now? And I think, that right there in its entirety, in its own right, is something that, we'll figure it out. But I'm not paying Blue Jacket. I'm not paying Drake no 40 million. You can go to absolute hell. Because we got Bijan Robinson. I think we got a pretty good defense. Uh, I personally not doing it. I'm not doing it. Like what you says about running backs. I feel like that wide receivers. I think you can just keep on every 4 to 5 years. Bringing another wide receiver to retire. I just don't believe paying all these quarterbacks and wide receivers that much money, because like once a wide receiver gets a injury, a devastating injury, you still stuck with that 30-40 million contract, and now you got to accrue all that dead cap money to keep. So like I said, I'm not doing it, especially if I got a running game and a running back like the Atlanta Falcons. And Bijan is that guy. Yeah, I'm not keeping Drake. I've just been sour about wide receivers. Sorry, y'all. I really have. Yeah, like I said, I do love Drake, and I think he can be a very good wide receiver. But I'm not sure if he's elite. I'm not sure if he's elite. I think Drake can be, but I'm just not sure. I don't know how much better Drake can get. I think that's probably what scares me more. I don't know how much better Drake can get at this point. I don't know that. And it says Drake may not even listen to anything less than anything under 32. So you're talking about from 36 all the way to about $40 million is what I'm expecting Drake to look at. Anywhere from about 34 to about 40 is what Drake is going to ask for. And that right there, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. I think that's probably what the thing is with me with Drake. I'm just not sure. Uh, yeah, we're gonna see. Like I said, we're gonna see this year. So if Drake comes out and just have an epic season this year, it's like, look, we don't know what's what, but it really just depends on how Stefanski and those guys view Drake, what he is, and it really just the chemistry and whether or not he gets what he finally understands. This offense, he can play well in this offense, and then what Tommy Reese, and Stefanski want to do with him. So look, I could be completely wrong at the end of the day, but we'll see with Drake and how they view him. Someone says $28 million for Drake. Like I said, we'll see, man. Okay. So it's only 1 year. So yeah, guys, look, man. I think the Falcons. I'm just going to like this. Is just my opinion. Okay, so I'm looking at Drake's contract. It doesn't have 2 years on his contract. Okay, he only has 1 year. This is the last year of his deal, and it's a void year next year. So essentially, what can happen is the Falcons they can and he's 29 years old. He'll be 30 years old next year with a void year, unrestricted free agent, void. Yeah, it's I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I think the Falcons, in my opinion, right now are shopping, and that's just the way I'm seeing it. It really just depends on what Jesse Bates, what he's gonna ask for. If he's asking for another $20 million in guaranteed money, the Falcons are definitely shopping him. Yeah, he only has a book. He's a free agent next year. So I think the Falcons are shopping Jesse Bates. That's just my opinion. I'm looking at this contract. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see how the Atlanta Falcons 24 and cap. The base salary is 13. Yeah, I don't see how. I'm sorry, y'all, but we probably be looking at the last year of Jesse Bates, in my opinion. And I would not be surprised if the Atlanta Falcons are shopping Jesse Bates right now. Would not surprise me whatsoever. He got 1 year. This is his last year. The next 3 years are void years. Now, when you got void years, what essentially happens with that is that the Atlanta Falcons could be working on a long-term deal that's going to keep him with the Atlanta Falcons. But in my opinion, it's going to be money up front, a lot of guaranteed money up front for the first year and the next 2 years, because there's 3 void years in that contract. So what essentially would happen would be is the Falcons get him one big payday for 1 year, and that would be a guaranteed of about 20 million in the first year, and then the second years would pretty steady decline. So that essentially makes Jesse Bates a little bit more attractive with his contract at this point in time, because what the Atlanta Falcons also do with those void years is trade Jesse Bates, and then the team who picks him up, being that he has those void years there, that they can negotiate a deal for an extension for Jesse Bates. So the Atlanta Falcons are in a good position right now because they have a guy like Xavier Watts, and they have a Billy Bowman. And Billy Bowman can play safety. He can play slot. So the Falcons are being in good position. So that's just like I said, that's just my opinion. I believe personally that the Atlanta Falcons are shopping Jesse Bates. I don't see why in the hell the Falcons would not be shopping him with 1 year on his contract. You definitely have to prepare for the future, especially with a guy like Jesse Bates. There's no way in hell the Atlanta Falcons are not preparing for the future or looking for the best deal for Jesse Bates. Just my opinion, because the guy that we hired as as our guy, both of those guys are offensive guys. Matt Ryan and Kevin Stefanski. These are offensive guys. So they're going to look out for their offense. So I think what would happen, looking at Jesse Bates, what would happen, the Falcons extend Bijan, they extend Drake, and then they shop. I think they shop Jesse Bates. I think they get rid of Jesse Bates, or at the very least, allow him to walk. But I'm hearing that a number of teams are looking for Jesse, looking to require the services of Jesse Bates. But I think it'll definitely going to be a pick in the second round, possibly a first round. We'll see about that. But more likely it's a second and a multitude of middle round picks for Jesse Bates. I mean, the bare minimum in this position, I'm not giving Jesse Bates anything higher than $20 million. Because you got 3 years left with Xavier Watts, and then you got to figure out what's going to happen with Billy Bowman. So you can't, you got to start developing a safety behind him anyway. And maybe that guy is Sheldon Brown. We'll see. Maybe it's DeMarco Helms. We'll see if he's there. But I look, if I am Ian Cunningham, I'm trading Jesse Bates for right now for picks. I can't afford to have him walk. That's just my opinion. Within or trading, does he make us forget James Pierce Jr.? I mean, it's only 10 sacks. So my thing is anybody can make us forget about James Pierce Jr. No, I think the kid is going to be a good player if he's allowed to play. But 10 sacks is only 10 sacks. We can replace that. Whether it's one guy, two guys, you can replace 10 sacks. So the Falcons all they have to do is just continue to build their scheme solid, continue to build with on that defensive line, because we had 57 sacks. Even without James Pierce, we still had 47 sacks. So it's not like James Pierce was the only man that was able to get a lot of pressure and get to the quarterback. The Falcons still had a lot of guys that were getting after the quarterback. Now, I would love to keep James Pierce, but I'm trading him if I'm the Atlanta Falcons. But we've seen guys like D-Led say he expect the Atlanta Falcons to keep James Pierce, and I expect them to at the very least think about keeping him. Nah, I look. You don't. Everybody keeps saying picks. You're not getting picks. You're not getting anything significant for a tight end. Okay, he's a tight end, y'all. You're not getting a first. I doubt you get a second for him. But it really just depends on where the team you're going. You're not getting what y'all think out of Pitts. You're not going to get a high second round. You're barely going to get a first. Yeah, I doubt it that any team would give you a first round for Pitts. Ain't happening. He's a tight end. He's not a wide receiver. So that's not happening. It's not happening with Kyle Pitts. I don't think you're getting a bunch of picks. I could be completely wrong, but I don't see any team giving up a first round or multiple second rounders for Kyle Pitts. Because he's a tight end. Now, if he was a wide receiver, it's different, but he's labeled a tight end. And tight ends don't get traded for a whole bunch of picks. Just doesn't happen. A realistic and reasonable contract for Drake, assuming he continues to be developed as a one. It's 4 year, 120, 30 by 30 to 32. I think that's right on. That's what I would give Drake. But yeah, I like I said, I think Walker be that guy. Walker can be that guy. But the way he's talking, it's Jeff Ulbrich. He's talking like he's going to have Walker all over the place. So we'll see about that. We'll see about it. But like I said, I don't. Kyle Pitts, if he was a wide receiver, then swear I can see the Falcons getting a bunch of picks for him. But he's a tight end. He's a tight end. Period. Point blank. And I don't think any team is willing to give up a first round pick or a early second round pick for Kyle Pitts. Could be wrong, but tight ends don't get traded for a bunch of high picks. Just doesn't happen. Now, if the Falcons are comfortable with trading Kyle Pitts for a lower second round and a bunch of mid round picks, maybe. It really depends on if they really believe that they can develop these guys, maybe. But a team that I don't feel, and I haven't seen anything to suggest as such that a team would give up a early second round pick, first round pick for a Kyle Pitts. Don't see it. Maybe a team that's in the hunt for a championship could quite possibly do that. I can see that happening, but I don't think any team of significance. Maybe a team that's looking for a weapon for a young quarterback, possibly give up a second round for him. But if you think you can get anything out of significance out of Kyle Pitts at this point in time in his career, yeah, I don't see it. Man, he's a wide receiver. Anything gonna piss off these wide receivers. And I don't like if Drake acts like he got a problem, I'm trading him. So you better sit in that corner and be quiet because Bijan is the best player, offensive player in the league. If you got a problem with Bijan Robinson getting his money before you do, you don't understand football and you don't understand your place in rankings. Because even in this space, I'm not the biggest, baddest guy in here. Okay, I know my place. So Drake London, he need to goddamn know his place if he get a fucking attitude because Bijan is that guy. Bijan is the motherfucking star of this team. Period. Point blank. Okay. So Drake if anybody get in their feelings because Bijan got paid before them, they don't need to be on the team anyway. Know your role and shut your mouth. Okay. Bijan is a motherfucking star. Treat him like it. He get handled before anybody at this point in time. Nah, that's not true. That's not true at all. We got to stop trying to turn Kyle Pitts into something he's not. He's not a wide receiver. He's a tight end. Okay. Let me say this again. Kyle Pitts is not a wide receiver. He's a tight end. Okay. He's not a wide receiver. Nobody's going to convert him. If the Atlanta Falcons if the Atlanta Falcons wanted to convert him, otherwise it would have been done all right. All right. Coaches in college football understand what Kyle Pitts is. They converted him from wide receiver to a tight end because he wasn't a wide receiver. Why in the NFL do you believe that Kyle Pitts is a wide receiver? He's not that. Okay? He's a guy that can play inside and outside, but he's not a wide receiver. He doesn't have the foot quickness. He's not one of those guys that can use his athleticism to get up. He uses his body. He uses this straight line speed. That's what he is. Okay? He's not a wide receiver. No team is going to convert him. That's not happening. He's not a wide receiver. And he's not, he's not a wide receiver. Y'all got to stop that. He's not a wide receiver. He's not that. Like, he's a tight end that has exceptional skill, but he is not a wide receiver. Okay, there's a difference between being a wide receiver. A wide receiver has to have the foot quickness to be able to get in and out of breaks for guys. Kyle Pitts doesn't have that. He uses his body to get open. He uses his size to get open. But a wide receiver's got to have great feet, and Kyle Pitts doesn't have great feet like that. He's a big guy, so he's not a wide receiver. See, even guys like Anquan Bolden wasn't fast, but they had great feet. Hines Ward, great feet. Wasn't super fast, but he had great feet. Kyle Pitts doesn't have great feet like that. So he uses his size, he uses his body in order to get open. And anybody that says Kyle Pitts can't block, you just have not been looking at enough film. You've been listening to a lot of people say that Kyle Pitts can't block because that's not true. Because if you look at this year, the reason why Elijah Wilkinson even had a great, a pretty good, solid season is because Charlie Warner and Kyle Pitts was blocking for him majority of the season. Okay? That's what he is. He's a tight end with speed, and he's that's what he is. He's not a wide receiver. Wide receivers have to have that ability to get in and out of those breaks with quickness. He doesn't have that. All right, again, if you think Kyle Pitts can't block, you tell Elijah Wilkinson that, okay? Because Kyle Pitts he uses his body, he uses his size, and quarterbacks love, trust me, my brother 6'6", 240, okay? 250. I love throwing the ball to a tall dude like that, okay? Quarterback, I loved it. Okay? You can put it in a spot and his big ass is gonna go up and get it. He gonna use his arm to get them little dudes up off of him. Quarterbacks love to throw to guys like Kyle Pitts. Ain't because he a wide receiver, it's because he's big. Like Kyle Pitts, like I said, Kyle Pitts is a tight end with a lot of speed and nothing more than that. That's why he was converted that when he was with Florida. Florida converted him from wide receiver to tight end. Now, you can probably get away with that stuff in high school, but you can't get away with that in college and NFL. So when we talk about Charlie Warner, Kyle Pitts, they were one of the main reasons why Elijah Wilkinson looked okay. And I'll just leave it at that. If that's true, why don't we use him against Tampa Bay? Bro, what's wrong with you, Savannah? Bro, you bugging right now today? Kyle Pitts' biggest numbers came against Tampa Bay. What are we talking about, dog? Come on, bro. Like, what is it with people in Kyle Pitts? Most of his biggest games have come against Tampa Bay. I don't know what you answer. What are you trying to say? Yeah, help me understand that because you're saying, okay, let me read this again. If that's true, why didn't we use him more? Now against Tampa Bay, he's a beast. Because he's a tight end. Okay, my bad. He's a tight end. You don't put Kyle Pitts' biggest numbers came against Tampa Bay because they were using him as a tight end, and he could not. The linebackers can't match up with him. That's why he broke up. That's why he puts up big numbers against Tampa Bay is because their linebackers can't match up with him. But they didn't use Kyle Pitts as a wide receiver against Tampa. Go back one of his biggest plays against Tampa when he caught the ball over the middle and he just ran away from everybody. But look, you keep saying this. That's my point. Why didn't we use him more? Let me ask you something. Anybody can add this. What do you mean, why didn't we use him more? You think teams are just going to allow Kyle Pitts to just do whatever he want to do? You think defensive coordinators just going to say, you know what, we're just going to stop Bijan. We're not going to pay any attention to Kyle Pitts. Furthermore, we had Zach Robinson as an offensive coordinator for 2 years. Come on, Swag, man. Like, we got to think, man. Think about the things that we say before we type it. Think about what you're saying. Why didn't we use him more? We had Zach Robinson as our offensive coordinator. Zach Robinson as our offensive coordinator. And defensive coordinators are just not going to allow him to just do whatever he wants to. That's where this is where tight ends are getting most of their numbers at. It's in that slot in the middle of the field when you can throw those guys. Like, no, I get what you're saying, but these y'all already know the answers to. Y'all already know. My job is to only just to help you guys understand that. You already know this. Okay? You already know this. You know this, Swag. You know this. You know Zach Robinson sucks. You know that. You didn't need me to say that. But the slot position he's not going against top. Oh my God. Let me say this again, y'all. You saying most of the numbers came in the slot position. He's not going against the top cornerbacks. Okay? A lot of times when you put guys in that slot, you're paying the third, fourth best guy, maybe the third best safety when you're in that slot position. And a lot of times it's the linebacker in that position. So because Kyle Pitts is lined up as the slot receiver doesn't make him a receiver. How many times did you see their number one corner on Kyle Pitts in the slot? Do y'all get that? Like the Falcons, look, we talking about old ass Kirk Cousins threw for about 4-5. That man threw for about 1,000 yards in like 2 games against Tampa. Kyle Pitts and everybody were having a field day. Look, everybody was having a field day with Tampa. But that don't mean Kyle Pitts is a wide receiver because he's having a field day against those guys. You got to look at every other team in the better matchups. Kyle Pitts is not going against the number 1 tight ends. Yeah, and I don't know about that the other guy that they got down there, Jew. Yeah, and like I said, Kyle Pitts going against the top number 1 corner. He doesn't have them corners, like he can look, Kyle Pitts, if he's gonna beat a lot of these quick, fast corners, he's gonna beat them with size and ball placement. He's not beating those guys with foot quickness. This is what made Mike Evans' entire career. He just bullied guys. He just bullied a lot of those guys. So, like I said, yeah, we're on the same page, but like everybody just assume that just because we have Kyle Pitts, that other teams are just gonna just allow Kyle Pitts to do whatever he wants. No, they're gonna double him, they're gonna bracket him. And when I mean bracket him, you talk about playing him inside and outside, have a linebacker playing him inside, outside technique, inside technique. That's what they're going to do with Kyle Pitts. He's not like I said, he's not a wide receiver. He's just fast. He's a big guy that's 6'6", 250, almost 250 pounds, and he's fast. That's it. Not a great route runner. Drake is not a great route runner, but both of these guys know how to use their size. Drake is probably a little bit more. He's probably a little better than Kyle Pitts, obviously, but Kyle Pitts is not a great route runner. Drake is not a great route runner. Those guys know how to use their size. And sometimes you got to have offensive coordinators that know how to put those guys in a position to use their size and call the right plays. I like this coming right here. I think our biggest question mark in game decisions and the situation. Yeah, because we had a stupid head coach. We had a stupid head coach that did not understand situational football. He's a moron. Like, I lost it when I saw Kyle. We saw Drake London. I mean, this dude was on freaking fire. He had caught like four catches, 3 catches in a row, and I think he had like 80 something yards in like a quarter on like 2 possessions. He had like 5 catches within like the first 2 possessions and stuff. And guess what our head coach do? Because he got in a little tussle with a defensive guy, he decided to stop all the momentum. He stopped all Drake's momentum because he got into a verbal sparring with a defensive guy. He calls a timeout to stop Drake London and the Falcons' momentum. Now, if that ain't stupid, I don't know what to tell you. So our situational play calling has been a major concern. That's why they lost a lot of games. On top of the passing concept didn't make a lot of sense. Call that! Call that! Come on, bro. And we got a speedy receiver now. That's what Dotson is supposed to be. So maybe we're going to see the best. In my opinion, I think you want to see the best out of Drake and, pending a change. If the Atlanta Falcons decide to trade Kyle Pitts or Drake or whomever. Because one thing we do know, you can't, don't expect the Atlanta Falcons to keep players you think they should keep. Because we traded Julio and we traded Matt Ryan. A lot of us never thought that would happen. So I'm not naive to think the Atlanta Falcons won't trade Drake or won't trade Bijan or won't trade Kyle Pitts. Okay? I'm not that naive. Okay? It's the NFL. Anything can happen for whatever reason. Kevin Stefanski probably won't be calling plays because he has Tommy Reese. Tommy Reese was he was the guy that was calling a lot of plays last year. One thing I like about Stefanski, if his play calling isn't going well, he'll hand over that job and he'll just manage the game from that point on. But I think he will call plays, but if it's not working, we'll see a lot of Tommy Reese. And like I said before, I don't think anybody is safe. If there is anybody that's untradeable on this team, it's only Bijan Robinson. That's it. That's how I see it. Don't get the one thing I learned out of doing this for almost 5 years is when you think you know it, the Falcons change all the questions, all the answers. You think you know this and you think you know that. The Falcons will switch it up and they'll trade away a valuable piece. A lot of people thought Grady Jerry was going to die. He was going to retire a Falcon. Didn't happen. Everybody thought Matt Ryan was going to retire a Falcon. Didn't happen. Got traded. Julio got traded. Calvin got traded. All these guys got traded. So never say never. But if there's anybody that's untradeable right now, it's Bijan Robinson. But I think it will be Tommy Reese that's going to be calling plays. And if he doesn't do well, we're going to see Stefanski pick up. But I personally believe And what I understand, it's going to be Tommy Reese calling plays. And you got, like I said, Bill Callahan, N-String. They got a lot of guys on this coaching staff that are called plays. So even if Tommy Reese bad, we still got a few guys on this roster, on this coaching staff that have called plays before in the NFL. So we're fine regardless. That right there is the bottom line, y'all, because Mad Mike said so. Check us out tonight on the Heavy Hitters Live, You Talk Sports, 6MK. Your boy, The Dunn. We got a guest tonight. We're going to be breaking down a few prospects, and y'all come over and ask some questions. Leave a few super chats on there. And that right there is the bottom line, because Mad Mike said so. Hit that subscribe button. I am My Health. More NFL news coming for you guys. Peace.
Put your eyes back in your head.
I felt like flavor.
Pry their eyes open and force them to see the truth. We will skim the sheep and sacrifice the weak. The unholy alliance has arrived.